I want to start off this video by reminding you of a quote that you hear pretty often. Don't judge a book by its cover. And that's something we've heard as kids. When you meet somebody new, don't judge a book by its cover. Get to know the person. Get to know whatever you're trying to do. Don't judge a book by its cover. The thing is, we are not conditioned and we're not wired not to make first impressions or not to judge a book by its cover. Meaning, there's a lot of social experiments you can see on YouTube, for example, where famous people would dress up as homeless people, and people wouldn't even recognize them. Now, why didn't people recognize them? Well, it's because first impression, it didn't go towards, oh, this might be somebody I know. It went towards just a homeless person trying to ask me for money or something, right? And that's a big difference. There's a thin line there that we need to draw because people do make first impressions. It is, again, wired within us through evolution. So our ancestors, right now we have the privilege of living in a safe place, for example, where you don't have to be scared for your life every other minute that a tiger is going to show up out of nowhere and you're just going to go to another world now. It's not like that. However, the reptile part of our brain, the subconscious brain, that was basically the survival tool for our ancestors. It wired them to be really efficient and really effective when it comes to quick impressions, first-time impressions, judging a book by its cover. And reason being is because they needed to survive. When they heard a little bit of noise around, they needed to know if this is something dangerous that they need to run or if it's something not that serious and they can stay. And they needed to make that decision really quickly because if they're 2 seconds late, boom, game over. So that's where it kind of started developing. And we do, at the end of the day, judge a book by its cover. Oftentimes we meet somebody and just from the looks of it, you're like, this person seems really arrogant. This person seems like he's not easy to approach or whatever, right? We start making assumptions just based on impression. And then you talk to the person, and at one point in the conversation you say, you know what? When I first looked at you, I thought you were really different. And this happens so often, you see somebody and you make an impression, you talk to them, before you know it, they're completely different. However, sometimes you see somebody and you have a certain impression towards them, and then you meet them and you get to talk to them, and this idea is just reinforced. Because at the end of the day, the reptile brain is a very smart mechanism, right? It needs to identify the difference between, is it something that needs survival instinct, or is it something that we can operate on consciously? And when we're having conversations, it's the exact same thing. That's why a lot of people, they get anxious during conversations, for example, because the first impression is, oh, I think I'm out of their reach, or they're out of my league, or whatever the reason is, they start putting themselves down just through a first-time impression. Now, you'd be surprised to know that it really doesn't take long to make a first impression. So a lot of psychologists made research on how long does it really take for a person to make a first impression. You walk into a room and you look at a person. How long would it take you to really make a first impression and install it within you that it's a memory linked to that person? So if you walk into that room and you look at somebody, it only takes 2 to 4 seconds to form a first impression. So that being said, you didn't even get the chance to talk to the person. Sometimes you didn't even hear them speak. You're not really sure who they are, but still you make a first impression because this is how the human animal works. We need to make sense out of disorder around us. We meet somebody or we see somebody that we don't know. Our brain needs to start scanning, okay, who is this person? Is it a threat or not? Is it somebody I can be friends with or not? Somebody I can help, or is it somebody that's going to help me? And our brain makes these distinctions very quickly on a subconscious level, and then it pushes that through to the consciousness through feelings and emotions. And then we get an instinct of what do we need to do? Do I feel good about this person? Do I not feel that good about this person? I feel like I can't trust them, right? This is all an impression at the end of the day. And because most times when we get to know people, we can always point out some things that we formed in our mind as a first impression that was then proven to be wrong after we actually got the chance to speak with these people and get to know them on a deeper level. So this video was to summarize the importance of the first impression. And there's a lot that you need to do, and there's a lot that you don't have to do if you want to make a good first impression. Obviously, most importantly, if you do want to make a good first impression, smile. Smile at the other person, because when you smile at them, it will feel a lot less intimidating to start a conversation. Who wouldn't want to talk to somebody who's happy and who's smiling? But if you see somebody who's frowning, who's really upset, you just get a vibe that I can't really talk to this person because I feel like they're having a really bad day, right? Second thing is eye contact. Just imagine I'm talking to you, and as I'm talking, I keep looking away, and then as I keep looking away, and then I look at the birds, and then automatically you're going to be like, this person is not even listening to me. They're too focused on whatever's happening there that they're not even listening. They don't really care. Because that sends a really powerful subconscious message that you need to know how to use to your advantage. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to network, you're trying to communicate with people, and for that, there needs to be a base, right? If you don't look people in the eyes, and actually there's a lot of statistics on it, during sales meetings, for example, if you don't maintain an average of 60 to 70% eye contact ratio, people will not trust you as much as they would if you were to do the eye contact for more than a 60 to 70% ratio. And this says a lot, that when you're looking at people, they feel like they can trust you more because they feel like you're actually listening to what they're saying, that you actually care. And when you do that, you start building rapport with people, right? Well, that's something we're going to develop more in another video. Number 3, use body language to your advantage. You're trying to explain something to somebody, you're trying to tell a story, you're trying to meet somebody new. Use your body language to your advantage. If you see somebody who has their arms crossed and they're just sitting there frowning, I mean, like their body language just gives you this vibe that this is not a person that wants to really talk to anybody right now, unless they're cold, right? This is, when it comes to this specific gesture, it's one of two things. The person doesn't feel comfortable, therefore subconsciously they want to cover their vital organs with their arms because they feel threatened. At the same time, if they don't, they might be cold. On the other hand, they might not really be feeling threatened, or they might not be uncomfortable. They might just be cold. So if you ever see somebody with, just a closed down gesture, you want to make sure to just see if it feels really cold in the room. Maybe they're not wearing too many layers and they're just cold. Otherwise, usually when people go that way, it means that there's something they don't like, something that is threatening, something that's stressful, something that's not comfortable, whatever it is. During, for example, negotiation scenarios, whenever you see that somebody has their arms crossed, you need to work on making them feel more comfortable and making yourself feel more trustworthy to them, right? Until you feel that their body language is getting a lot more relaxed, that they don't have their arms crossed, that they're not leaning back, that they don't have their arms crossed, that they're not leaning back, right? They start using more open body language. They come closer to you. They start actually expressing what they're saying. They start looking you in the eyes more, right? When it comes to body language, it's what you do. It's also what they do and how you interpret it. Personal psychology is a very important concept to understand when you're trying to become a very proficient communicator. But also, we'll get to that in a further video. Number 4, make it easier for people to approach you. And what do I mean by that? If you want to start developing your communication skills, you need to be talking to more people, even random people, strangers. You're at a bus stop, talk to somebody, right? Maybe they will talk to you, but at least make it easy for them to approach you. If you're standing there with your earphones plugged in and you have your arms crossed and you're looking like you're having the most terrible day of your life, they're not going to approach you. They're going to feel it. You know that you can feel it too. right? But if you're open, you're looking at people, you're smiling at people, you have an open body language, you're standing there in your confidence. If somebody wants to say something, they'll say it because you're open for the communication, right? Going to the idea of a social contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau basically says that at the end of the day, we have to live in a society and we have to communicate with each other at a price, obviously. But if we don't really know how to communicate with strangers and random people, it makes it even harder for us to communicate with people we know because we start developing communication barriers. And what we're trying to do here is trying to break those communication barriers by giving you the right skill set you need. Once you learn the skill set and you practice it hard enough, you start reshaping the way you perceive communication in general. Number 5, test the waters. If you're looking at somebody and you're not really sure what their impression of you is, if they want you to talk to them or not, they're giving you mixed vibes, right? You get that often. You see somebody that you want to talk to, maybe somebody in a friend setting or in a relationship setting or in a dating setting, whatever it is, and you just can't seem to be able to know what they're thinking about. You're looking at them, they're looking at you, then they look away, then you look back, and then they smile, but then they look away, and you're like confused. Test the waters. Test the waters. There's no way you're going to know what they're thinking about if you don't go there and actually try. And the worst case scenario, you're not going to even try anyways. If you feel a bit confused, you're not even going to try. You're going to be like, this is too risky. No, go do it anyways. It builds character. It gives you that repetition with communication. It gives you that getting out of your comfort zone kind of feeling. Do it. Because you don't even know how the conversation is going to go. So many times we see somebody and we feel like we're going to have a really bad conversation. Then we talk to them and we're like, wow, I was not expecting that. You get mind blown, right? It's the exact same thing. Don't test your odds. Make your odds. You get an opportunity, take it. Test the waters at least. Smile. Say hi. See what they say. And then go from there. And lastly, just say something. Just say anything. You say hi, they say hi back. Just say anything. They're going to respond, right? If they're interested, at least they're going to respond. How's your day? Maybe how's your day is too cliche. Anything that's personal is always going to work a lot better. If you say, that's a really nice scarf. If you say, it's a really nice scarf, or it's a really nice suit, or really nice shoes, right? You start building rapport. People are like, oh, this guy's actually complimenting me. Well, you don't want to make it seem as if you're pushing the compliment. You want to make it seem a lot more genuine, that you actually wanted to say that just for the sake of saying that, not just because you have something in mind that you want to get to. But again, this is me a bit derailing there. These are the 6 elements that we talk about when we talk about first impressions and how to make the best out of it, right? Number 1, smile like you mean it. Number 2, eye contact. Number 3, open body language. Don't be closed down. Don't have your arms crossed. Don't lean back from people. Have an open body language. If you want to talk to them, make it easy. So number 4, make it easy for people to approach you. Number 5, test the waters. If you see you have a conversation or a communication scenario that's about to unfold, but you're not sure how they feel about you, test the waters. Go talk to them. Which brings us to number 6, just say something. First impression, if you say something automatically, rather than not saying anything, there's a big line in between that says this person is confident. They're comfortable enough within their skin that they're able to at least talk to me. Even if they said something stupid or irrelevant, even if they said something stupid or irrelevant, they had the courage to talk to me, right? And same thing in business settings. You want to ask something from your boss, you can try whatever you want to do to kind of like. Same thing goes for business settings. If you want to ask for a promotion, you want to get promoted at work, you're not just going to sit there and wait for promotion to happen. Go talk to your boss. You never know how it's going to turn out to be. Let's be real here. And it happens every day. We go into communication settings. We go talk to somebody. We have a conversation. We have a certain perception of how this conversation is going to go. And before you know it, it goes a completely different direction. Sometimes to your advantage, sometimes not. Sometimes you learn something out of the conversations. Sometimes you don't. But at the end of the day, for us to become proficient in communication, we need to be practicing that consistently whenever we get the chance. And this is it for first time impression. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let's hop on to the